What is going on, guys? Penzik here with Reaper Airsoft as always, and today we're going to do a little tutorial on how to tighten up an Elite Force 4 CRS outer barrel. This is going to be the same concept through most VFC's guns that are set up like this, so it's going to be pretty much universal. A couple things that you're going to need is a couple sets of Allen keys. There's a set screw in the Allen key itself, and the front iron sight that you're going to need to remove. There's going to be two in the rail system you're going to need to remove. And then we're going to need to work with the Allen keys on the outer barrel itself to get those tightened down and everything else. So you're going to also need a pin punch and a hammer, or a larger, I use a T-handle, a large T-handle to do that, any of the pounding of the pins here. And then you're going to need a barrel nut or wrench, crescent wrench, something along that line to get off the front flash hider. Keep in mind, sometimes these things are glued on really well. You may have to take some heat to them to get them off. But they are righty loosey, not lefty loosey. It's negative flash hider threading, so you got to turn it to the right to take it off. Next thing you're going to need to do is punch out the pins that hold the front gas block on. Make sure you don't pinch the pins itself. Let me put it on my leg. I don't want to break the glass here, so we're going to push that one out. Push that one out. As you can see, when I do this, I hit the rounded side to push the rounded side. Push the flat side out, so if the rounded side is up, I hit the rounded side to push that side out. So you're going to take those two pins out. Normally it sits up. If you don't have the iron sight on the back, it'll sit up pretty good. Allen key and the set screw for the front gas block. You're going to unloosen it. You don't have to take it all the way out, just enough to loosen it that you can get the front gas block to move. And you're just going to work it back and forth and off. Now depending on the setup and how tight they have the set screws in the rail system, you could have some problems getting the rail system off. So I like to take these little set screws all the way out just to get them out of the way. But what happens is these set screws actually get tightened down into the threading of the barrel nut itself, which can damage threading and make it extremely hard to get this rail system off because you're fighting damaged threads. This is a lefty loosey. This one is actually not bad at all. It's coming off by hand. If you ever have a situation where it's extremely hard to get broken free or anything like that, what I do is I take like a rail vertical grip I don't care about. I attach it to the rail system, and then I use it for leverage. And it helps a lot when you go to take these off if you have that extra leverage there. One thing to mention, if you're going to take heat to this at all, or you're really going to torque on anything, take your inner barrel on so you don't ruin anything or mess anything up by accident. I already did it. All you have to do is pop the front body pin, slide the upper receiver off, pull the inner barrel out, slide the upper receiver back on, and you're golden. And I'll show that process when I go to put everything back together here. So let me see, we're almost off. And as you can see, when we get this off, I'll show you guys with the so you can see the set screws actually damage some of the threadings there. And it can cause, depending on how tight it's down, it can cause a lot of issues trying to get that piece off. Now, normally what happens is it's not the barrel nut that causes the wobble, it is the set screws on the side here. There's one on each side that will cause the wobble. And that's what we need to focus on adjusting. Let me grab the Allen key. I gotta find the Allen key to get those out real quick. So, there we go. I'm gonna take one out, and I'll show you guys. I'll pull it all the way out, and I'll show you guys what happens. So they're small little set screws. And they pinch the barrel from both sides, and it can become a pain the very first time you got to do any of these. Let me see if I can get this separated. It's in there pretty good. The outer barrel's in there pretty good. So all I'm going to do is lock tight these down, and make sure that it doesn't come loose again here. So I've got a red Loctite, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop some drops inside the hole itself instead of on the threading specifically, because what I want it to do is I want it to hit the sleeve. It's actually, this is hollow, and then this male end slides in, and it kind of locks it together. I want to get some of that red Loctite in there on that gap as well to try and fill any voids or gaps that are in there to help lock it down even better. So we're going to tighten this down. Give it a crank real quick. There we go. Do the same on the other side. I've got to push out. Hold on, I've got a hard chunk in there because I use this stuff so much it just hardens in the tip a lot of times. There we go. A little more than I want it. But we'll clean that up. Make sure that's not leaking everywhere. So we got that. We're going to get the second set screw set in, torque down. And the reason this happens, the reason these become loose and wobble out, is because of the vibration of the gun. So as you shoot, the gun vibrates over time. It's just going to kind of loosen up and wobble out. So maintenance is key to making sure nothing breaks. You never want to leave this so loose that it just kind of falls out, because that's not good. Alright, so we're going to clean up any of the excess thread lock. We're going to start getting the rail system, thread it back on. Now for the set screws on the rail system itself, I do not Loctite those down. If you ever need to get it off and you Loctite these down, it could make your life a little bit more miserable. The only reason I Loctite the outer barrel down is because I think that two-piece outer barrel setup is just absolutely idiotic. I think it's a bad design in general, and it causes issues constantly just because you have to go in and undo it. You gotta technically undo everything to even get to it to be able to tighten it down, and I think it should all be a one-piece system, personally. That's just my personal opinion there. And what I do is I'll just tighten these down enough, give it a little bit of a snug. I'm not really torquing them. I don't want to damage the threading. I'm just enough of a turn to where I feel it grab, and it won't spin. You don't have to torque these down because the rail system is actually threaded on pretty solid itself to the barrel nut, so it's not going to wobble. It's not going to wiggle. Our outer barrel wiggle's gone. Everything's solid again, so we can start the process going backwards. We're going to slide the gas tube in first, roll our flash hider or our gas block on. You're going to want to line up the pins to you'll see little slots. You'll see these little slots here that the pins slide through on the outer barrel itself. You're going to line those up with the gas block, take the pin, and you should be able to get it to the point that you can push it through most of the way by hand. So what I do is I get both pins pretty much set in. I'll take my punch and my T-handle and I punch the pins in. I don't want to break the glass, so I'm going to take it off the glass. I'm going to tap these down. I like to try and get it to the point where the flat end is about flush. And I'll show you guys here. Let me get that lined up. I want to make sure everything's lined up. I might need my bigger punch here to get them to sit correctly. So let me tap. I'm doing this against my leg. A solid wooden surface or something's a little bit better. That way you have something to actually hit against. So I get them pretty much to where they're almost flush and on the same side, evenly balanced there. As long as they're in and you press them in, you'll be good. And then you're going to want to tighten down the set screw. This one I don't use Loctite either. This is just to make sure it stays in its 12 o'clock position up front or the iron sight itself. We're going to put on our little washer spacer. Turn to the left to tighten. And then, like I said, here's the reverse. So we're going to pop that front pin. You can use a screwdriver, something small enough to just add pressure to it. You may have to give it just a little bit of tap. Pop it. Make sure your dust cover is closed. Pull. you're going to take your inner barrel, line it up with the hole inside. Feed holes will be up from the top receiver. Slide it in. Make sure the spring's engaging. Reverse assembly. You're going to slide it back. Once you get it to the point where it's almost ready to go, you're going to push down and then click it together. And that's it, guys. Your outer barrel is now tight. There's no more wobble. Everything's good to go. And your shots will be accurate again. Like I said, if you do need to take this off with heat, be careful. You can get too much heat on this stuff. You can mess it up. If you're trying to go the wrong direction, you're going to mess up the threadings. This is a negative threading. So righty loosey, lefty tighty. Alright, and then another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to take anything and stick it between like that, because you're going to break the flash hider itself. But that's how you tighten down a rail system on an Elite Force 4 CRS. If you guys could, give us a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe if this video helped you out at all. If not, give us a thumbs down. I don't care. You guys have a great day, and thanks for watching.